Good morning to all, and welcome to the information session for the Northside Southside Jefferson Alignment Project. Thanks for joining us. I'm Cordell Whitlock with Vector Communications. We are hosting this information session to introduce potential consultants, contractors, and subcontractors to the upcoming bid opportunity for the Northside Southside Jefferson Alignment Project. As this project progresses, there will be opportunities for the public to receive updates and provide their input. Today's meeting is to learn about the design consultant contract. Before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. All attendees will be on mute so we can hear the presentation clearly. If you would like to use closed captioning, select Show Captions on the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of the screen. Please choose your preferred language and use the Q&A box for any questions. I'd like to begin by introducing the bi-state development leadership on this project. Talby Roach is the president and CEO. Chris Paler, the Northside Southside Jefferson Alignment Project Manager and Vice President of Capital Programs. Jessica Gershman, Assistant Executive Director of Planning and Systems and Deputy Program Manager. Carol Gates, the Contracting Officer, and Renetta Brazil, Supplier Diversity Program Manager. Also, please welcome Pranaya Shrestha, the Program Manager for Northside Southside Transit Partners, the PMC, for this project. I will now turn it over to Talby Roach for some brief remarks about this project. Good morning, Talby.
Good morning, Cordell. Thank you for the introduction, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to this really exciting and groundbreaking project. Really, what we want to think of with this project is a transformational project where we are literally changing the fabric of St. Louis, looking at the fundamental movement of our city, especially in this access corridor of a north-south corridor. There's some really interesting aspects of this project, one of which is it's meant to be in the Jefferson corridor. And of course, anyone who knows St. Louis, this is a very generous boulevard with over 6 lanes of traffic, essentially engineered for an era of the past. But now we want to engineer it for the future. And I hope that some of you on the line can help us do that. But what's really important about this project is to know that there is a tangible commitment from the city of St. Louis. Hey, one good news about this is there is only one jurisdiction to deal with. That is the city of St. Louis, transecting this area, and that commitment is there from top to bottom. In fact, this project is funded from a 2016 taxpayer-funded initiative, and that capital for this project is being put aside right now. And so the project is well funded. And of course, what we need is a really cutting edge design team and project team that can look at this project in an innovative way, keep our costs down, and move it forward. So we really want to look at what is the city of the future? What is the St. Louis of 2030, not of 1980? That's going to be a big change for us. And of course, part of that is serving and facilitating the new investments that you would see along this corridor, things like NGA to the north, things like the new soccer stadium in Midtown. Really important that we support those new investments, but also the great densities that we have to the south in South St. Louis, and the future densities that we hope to build out in North St. Louis. We're talking about the future of our city. And we need creative and talented people, contractors and designers to take a look at this project and help us move our region in the direction that it needs to go. So I'm very excited about the project, happy to answer any questions, but please be patient as we move through in this part of the presentation. Cordell, back to you.
Thanks, Talby. Let's review this morning's agenda. Chris will summarize the history of the Jefferson Alignment Project and review the current needs and project updates before reviewing the procurement process. Your questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. Chris, good morning. Take it away. Chris, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Cordell.
There you go.
Thank you for joining this session. As Cordell mentioned, we're going to take you through a little bit of the history of the project. I'm going to talk about where we are in the current state of the project, and then get into some details about the design consultant contract that we're here today to discuss. We've left some time at the end for questions. In addition, we're going to have a pre-proposal conference in January that will likely be able to answer all of the questions you have specifically about the design contract, but we're happy to answer any questions that we can today at the end. So let's start with the project overview. This project has been studied in the region for a number of years. Most recently, the locally preferred alternative was approved in 2008, and that alternative went through downtown St. Louis. It ended on the southern end and the northern end at very similar points as the current alignment we're studying. But again, the main chunk of the meat of the alignment went through the downtown of St. Louis. Since 2008, travel patterns have changed, in part because of COVID-19, just general travel patterns, commuting patterns into the downtown area, and obviously more telework and less general commuters. So as these changes have occurred, the city and bi-state have thought about what this new project could look like or should look like based on these changes. Talby mentioned new developments in Midtown, and that is increasing travel patterns in that area. And that's when we started looking at the Jefferson alignment. So here's a map of the alignment that we're looking at now. The city of St. Louis commissioned a study, and that's been recently completed to look at this alignment. And you can see on the south, it terminates at Chippewa and runs up Jefferson. The middle of the alignment crosses the existing MetroLink, and there will be a new station on the existing MetroLink to connect to the new alignment. As it continues up north, you can see the new NGA, which Talby mentioned, and then it turns and heads to the west on Natural Ridge Road towards the county. And you can see the dotted line there on top for potential future extensions out west. We talked previously about existing job density in Midtown, downtown west, South City, and then potential new job growth up on the north end around the new NGA campus. The city study took the design to 15%, and that's where this design contract is going to start. And Talby spoke a bit about the local funding that is provided from the sales tax that was approved by the voters several years ago. A little more about the current project. The light rail expansion is in the center of the street and dedicated right away. It's approximately 5.6 miles long. Have a minimum of 10 stations. You saw on the previous map, potential station locations. Right now, we've forecasting a need for 12 light rail vehicles. I mentioned the new MetroLink station on the existing alignment at Jefferson Avenue for connection to the existing system. That will be part of this contract. The maintenance facility, we're looking to upgrade our existing maintenance facility, which is on Ewing Avenue, just west of the alignment. So there would be a connection to this alignment and upgrades to that facility. And that would all be part of this design contract. As today, we've hired the program management consultant, as Cordell mentioned. That's the Northside, Southside Transit Partners. That team's led by Pranaya Shrestha. They've been working to download all of the information that was created by the city consultant on their study, as well as developing a schedule for the overall project, working closely with our funding partners from the Federal Transit Administration. It's a very complex process to go through to get a CIG grant with the FTA. And this PMC team is very experienced with that. So again, we've been working very closely with the regional office as well as Washington to make sure we do everything we need to line up and stay in compliance with a very rigorous process. And as was mentioned previously, obviously our partner in this is the city of St. Louis. We've been working very closely with them all through the design and the construction of this project. Partnership and close work with the city of St. Louis would be essential. Here's a very general schedule of the project moving forward. We look to have the environmental work complete in early 2025. The environmental work will not be part of the design contract. It's part of the program management consultant contract. However, obviously the design consultant will be required to produce work product that will funnel up into the environmental work. So they will be part of the process, but they will not have ultimate responsibility for all the environmental work. We look to have the design complete in late 2026. It's final design, and then head into construction at the end of the decade, 2027, rolling into 2030 for opening of the system. Let's talk a little bit about the contract. It's going to be out on the street here shortly. The contract includes the following. As I mentioned, the current design has been taken to 15% by the City of St. Louis consultant. This contract will take it from 15% through preliminary engineering to 30%. And we'll have an option to take it from 30% through final design. An additional option will include taking from final design all the way through construction and providing design support services through construction. We're anticipating using a CMGC delivery model for this project. And obviously the design will be working closely with a contractor that we hire to develop the design moving forward. We'll make a single award. I spoke previously about designing to 30%, taking it from 15 to 30% and through the NEPA process, and then the option to take it through the end of ultimate final design. The DBE goal for this project is 19%. Proposals must be submitted through iSupplier. I'll talk more about that in a minute. If you're not already on iSupplier, we'll tell you how to get on, as well as give you contact points for the procurement department. Interagency coordination, obviously, of a project like this will be critical. Now, we mentioned the City of St. Louis as a partner, but obviously there'll be other agencies that will have to work through on the NEPA process, as well as utility companies and many, many others, again, on a very complex, lengthy project like this. The design consultant will not be leading the public engagement process. That will be led by the PMC, but they will be involved. Have to produce various exhibits for the public engagement, and there will be a significant amount of public engagement. Again, that'll be part of the design contract, but the PMC will be leading the public engagement effort. And supporting the FTA process. I mentioned it's very rigorous. There are a number of requirements to go through the FTA process and get in the pipeline to get funding from FTA. So the design consultant will be expected to support that effort. This is obviously a multifaceted design contract, including many disciplines. We've listed some here. I'm sure this one does not include all of them. Obviously, we're going to have the number of new stations. We'll include station design, civil work, a lot of work along the roadway, electrical, stormwater. Survey will be included in this contract, geotechnical work, and then everything associated with the light rail track and systems, including overhead power, signals associated with the train itself, as well as obviously traffic signals that'll be used along the alignment, and coordinating them and working closely with the city streets department. Streetscape and structures. I mentioned the operations and maintenance facility. We'll be modifying our existing facility, allowing it to maintain not only the existing LRV fleet, as well as this new fleet, which will be different than our existing LRVs. So there will be some modifications there, and obviously figuring out how to be able to maintain the two fleets in the common facility will be a challenge, so we'll have to work through. And as we are doing work on predominantly Jefferson Avenue and some on Natural Bridge, maintaining traffic, working very closely with the city to maintain the traffic, minimize the disruption to the residents, as well as the businesses along the alignment will be critical. And that's something that the design consultant will work with the PMC as well as BSD staff, and again, city staff in developing staging plans and transportation management plans. We are looking to release the request for proposals later this week on December 21st. I previously mentioned a pre-proposal conference, and that'll be January 3rd. That conference will have staff available to answer all of your questions about the proposal process, all of the deliverables, when things are due. Any questions you have about the DBE process, getting through the iSupplier program. All of those questions can be answered in great detail at that time. As I mentioned previously, you'll need to be on the iSupplier program to receive the RFP and take it through the entire process, so that part is critical. Questions will be due prior to January 10th. Before to January 25th is the date the proposals will be due. We'll have interviews in February. It's our goal to have the contract approved in March. It's a very aggressive schedule. As I mentioned, we're trying to proceed and be in line in the pipeline for FTA funding. So we're trying to move very aggressively to get this project designed as quickly as possible to make sure that we're available for that funding and meet the FTA schedule. Selection process. We will receive the proposals, as I mentioned, on January 25th. Evaluate those. We'll notify a shortlist. Don't have a specific number at this time. We'll look at everyone who's qualified and then notify within a week or two of the firms or the teams that are available for shortlist. And we'll have oral presentations, as I mentioned, in February, consensus meeting, and then notification to the highest ranking firm. And at that time, and we'll talk a little bit more in the RFP process about when we'd like to have cost proposals submitted. iSupplier. In order to get the RFP, you'll have to be on iSupplier. If you signed up, as you signed up for this session, you'll be receiving an email with this information on it. There's new vendor registration on the bystatedev.org website. And you can see here how to get through and get registered on the iSupplier link. And again, this allows you to sign up to receive notification of new solicitations. This project, as well as any other of our projects that you'd like to see, and how to respond. It'll show you how to respond to the solicitations as well as view the solicitation results. And again, look for the email that was sent that has all of this information on it. In addition to contact points, people in the procurement department, which I have right here. There's an email and a phone number. And again, any problems or questions you have about the iSupplier system, please feel free to contact us by both of those methods above, and they can walk you through the process. Okay, that's all I have on the project. Turn back to you, Cordell. We're happy to take any questions you have now. Thank you.
All right, Chris, appreciate your presentation. Just as a reminder, anyone in the audience to ask a question, use the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen. And we already received a few questions. The first is, will this presentation be shared? It actually will. We'll have a recording of this presentation, and we are placing a link to that recording in the chat. So if you're interested, please copy that and share that with whoever you like. All right, let's get to the rest of the questions here. Who will be preparing the NEPA document?
The NEPA document will be, the responsibility for the NEPA document will be with the program consultant. As I mentioned, the design firm will obviously have to help develop exhibits in preparation of that, but the responsibility will be with the PMC.
Thanks, Chris. Next question. Will there be HVAC, mechanical, plumbing, and fire protection services in the MetroLink stations?
Specifics of the station design will be in the scope. We're going to get too detailed in that now, but that all the specifics in the scope will be released on Thursday. But yes, obviously, many of those facets, as you might imagine, these stations are going to be different from our existing stations, but street side and have all the requirements, all the code requirements than any public station like this would have.
Next question, any design cost or project cost as of now?
We're not going to release any estimates at this time. We're working with the PMC on the overall project cost. No, we're not going to release any estimates that we have for the design contract.
Next question, are MoDOT DBE firms qualified for the bi-state DBE status?
Carol, would you like to talk about that now, or would you like to defer that to the pre-proposal conference?
We can defer to the pre-proposal conference. That'll be Renetta's area.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Any specific questions on DBE, we request that you prefer or defer that until the specific pre-proposal conference where they can answer those questions in detail.
Next question, will the design firm have a role in construction inspection?
I mentioned the contract as the base contract will take us through preliminary design. There will be an option to extend the contract to include final design as well as design support services. It is not anticipated that they would have specific inspection services, but rather more traditional design support services for a designer.
There's someone that wanted to speak about FTA?
Good morning. That's Talby again. So
Okay.
I just wanted to let everybody know of the critical role of FTA, and in particular District 7, which is our regional district headquarters out of Kansas City. So they have been present in our monthly meetings with the PMC and with the alternatives analysis team at AECOM. We've been bringing them along on the project, and they are really great advocates for this. But in addition to that, we have been scheduling and having active meetings in Washington, D.C. about this new starts application in plowing the ground for this. I just want to be very cognizant to everybody that, yes, this is an aggressive schedule, but given that we have a very generous right-of-way and no takings associated with this right-of-way, that we think it's really ripe and in a great situation for a very competitive new starts application, given where our finances are and, of course, where we think we are under the Justice 40 initiative through the Biden administration. So we think the strategy is very sound, and we've had some very good comments from our FTA partners, both in DC and locally. Thank you. Just want to add that.
Okay. Thanks, Talby. Will physical security design be included in design for the corridor?
I'm sorry, Cordell, did you say physical security?
Yeah, will physical security design be included in design for the corridor?
Yes, obviously security is the top of our minds, and something we're looking at on the existing system. So yes, security along the stations will be something that will be in the scope, and the details of it can be seen in the scope.
Next question, will the cost proposal include phase 1, 30%, and phase 2 final design, or is it just phase 1?
The cost proposal would just be for phase 1, to 30%.
Next question, are DBEs on the PMCM team conflicted from being on the design team?
Carol, can you speak to that? Or Renetta? Is Renetta on?
They will
Chris,
not. This is Renetta. They are allowed to participate as well on this project.
Thank you. Are there any companies that will be conflicted out of pursuing this work?
The prime companies that are on the PMC contract.
Could you clarify the name of the PMC selected?
The PMC firms called the team is called the Northside, Southside Transit Partners. The primary partners are HNTB, KAI, and FAMI.
Are the subs on this contract precluded from being on the design team? If so, can a list be provided?
Carol, can you speak to that?
A list will be provided.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Who was the designer for the first 15% of design?
The primary team was led by AECom.
Are there any co-location requirements for the design firm?
Those specifics will be in the RFP.
Will a separate construction phase engineering firm be hired during construction?
Again, there's an option on this contract to take it through the construction phase for construction phase services. There's no
Will we be,
commitments. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Chris, I cut you off.
No, I paused there. There's no specific commitments during the construction phase at this time.
Will we be copied on all emails for the project by the fact that we were sent notice for this conference, or do we have to sign up somewhere for it?
Carol, can you answer that question?
Yes, once you're registered in iSupplier, you will receive automatic notifications regarding any amendments, any questions and answers.
Any stats on the number of residents and businesses located along this proposed corridor extension, an estimate of utilization?
We do have that information. We can get that to you. I don't have that handy.
Will you be looking for individual sub-consultants or one prime consultant with support services contracted through them?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay.
Read that again, Cordell, please. Sorry.
Will you be looking for individual sub-consultants or one prime consultant with support services contracted through them?
The specifics of the requirement for the contract will be in the RFP.
Okay. And I believe this is our last question of the morning. Since this is a DBE project, is it a federal project in the city of St. Louis, or is it considered a federal project?
Is our intention to secure funds through the FTA, which is a federally sourced project.
All right, as of now, that is it. I want to give anyone on the Zoom a chance to ask a question before we wrap up. Please use the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen. Any other questions? Any other questions going once? Okay. Oh, here's one. I missed the third PMC. I heard HNTB and KAI, but who was the third?
The third is Kwame Building Group.
Okay. Is AECom precluded from the next phase 30% since they participated in prior phases?
Their work is done on the city's contract, so they're not precluded.
Will the list of attendees at this event be given out?
Carol?
Yes, it will be. Once I publish the solicitation, this information will also be attached.
Yes, in case you didn't hear that, who asked that question, this will be made public. The information will be attached. Okay, well, we want to thank everyone for participating in our Consultant Opportunity Seminar. Please watch for the RFP to come out on December 21st and information on the pre-proposal conference on January 3rd, 2024. This seminar will also be recorded and available on the link that is in the chat. Also at bystatedev.org/vendor resources. Or you can also contact procurement at bystatedev.org. We will also email a copy of the presentation to everyone who registered for today's event. We want to thank everyone who participated. We want to thank everyone in the audience for your patience and your engagement. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.